So friends, under this car cover is a vehicle that Elvis owned. Most of you don't know that he owned this vehicle, but there it is right there. I know I've got your attention now. This vehicle was owned in the 60s, possibly in the 50s. I'm pretty sure it was at Graceland, might have been at Audubon, who knows. I'd be willing to bet you that all of those things are yeses, but you'll have to show up at Elvis Con to find out. So it'll be fun to find out what you think it is first. So you can go to Elvis Pawn Shop Facebook page and even leave a comment about what you think it could be. That would be interesting to see what you think it could be under this car cover. But most of you have no idea that Elvis owned this vehicle. It will be unveiled at Elvis Week, at Elvis Con, at the Holiday Inn down the street from Graceland. Not sure which day yet, so you'll have to go to elvispawnshop.com Facebook page and they will keep you updated. This vehicle will be there and it will be unveiled there, so you'll get to see it in person. Was owned by Elvis. That's not debatable. It was. Picture proof. You got to come to Elvis Con and see it. I know you want to see. You want to know. But you know what? Let's just go ahead. Right. You got to come see it. If you want to know, you got to come. So if you're thinking about whether you want to come see this or not, just know that you have never seen this vehicle before. This is not something that you saw somewhere and you think that you may have seen it before. You've not seen this vehicle before. So if you want to see something, there's not much new in the Elvis world that you've never seen before. This you've never seen before. So friends, unfortunately, this is not going to be seen at Elvis Con during Elvis Week. Some things have changed, but we already had this video. I already had it edited, ready to go for Elvis Week. Turns out that the car is going to be taken to EPE and displayed in the museum without probably any fanfare. They're just going to stick it in there like all the rest of the cars. We had planned on revealing it and making a big to-do about it, but it'll just be sitting in there with the rest of the cars. But anyway, we're going to show the video that we would have shown Elvis Week after the car was released, or after it was revealed, if you will. And I must give some special thanks to John Daly and William Bardall McDaniel. Check this out. You get to see the car now. And you get to see this car revealed to someone that hasn't seen it in almost 60 years. Stay tuned. Friends, this is Jimmy Cofer at Cofer's Classics. He's been restoring American history since 1976. So tell us about that, Jimmy. What do y'all do?
Well, we restore any kind of car that comes along. We like the muscle cars, the Mustangs, Camaros, stuff like that, but we kind of work on everything. Do a lot of family heirloom cars and cars that mean a lot, you know. So that's kind of what we've been doing for quite a while.
You even have done some things for TV shows, movies, that kind of stuff?
Yes, we have, yeah. The Sun Records movie they filmed here, the TV series, we worked on a lot of cars for them. We got some cars out of the Supernatural TV series and other things.
That's very cool.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about a very special car that
yeah.
you're not completely finished with, but really, really close.
Yeah.
Really this is a car that most Elvis fans have no idea that Elvis owned.
Correct. Yeah.
But it was Elvis's car.
It was, and it's a pretty well kept secret. The car never left Memphis. It's only been owned by like 3 different people till we got our hands on it. And we've been restoring it for the last 2 years, and we're pretty close to finishing it. Started life as a 1946 Solar Industries midget race car. They only built 100 of them in San Diego because they were needing more work, because they run out of work after the war because they built airplane parts and stuff like that. And they only built 100, and then it went away. They went back to work for real. And years later, Von Dutch in California, he wound up with the car, turned it into a street car. And then Elvis saw it and bought it from Von Dutch and brought it to Memphis. And basically it was going to be a toy for him, just to play with. And he just proceeded to tear it up every time he got in it, so they say. And it got wrecked. He hit a tree at Graceland, and it never got fixed after all these years until we got our hands on it. When we got it, it was truly a basket case in the back of a pickup truck. And so this is what we've got so far, and we're just about done with it.
Let's check it out.
Still got to put the steering wheel on it and the windshield. A few other small items. The belly pan's got to be still got to be restored. It's not going to run. It's strictly a museum piece. So everything on the car looks like it will run. It's got a radiator in it, carburetor, wiring harnesses, everything. But it really doesn't make sense to make something like this run for a museum because it's just going to sit. And so
It's got a Ford flat 8 in it.
Ford V8 60 horse flathead Ford, yeah, with a 3-speed 1940 Ford rear end and transmission in it. Pretty crude vehicle. As we were putting it together, we could see how somebody could get hurt in this car. It's pretty flimsy, you know. No roll cage, no seat belts, but it was a real race car when it was built. They raced them. Midget racing was a craze back in the 40s, and so that's what it was originally built for, and then turned into a street car. That's why it's got headlights on it, and it's going to have a windshield and a wiper motor and tail lights. But it's a cool car. We really enjoyed building this thing, and can't wait to spring it out on people because really nobody knows about it. Just, you know, kind of like the locals around here, and that's just a handful of people that knew the car existed. Some people thought it had heard of it, but they didn't know for sure, you know. But it's the real deal.
And this was in Bardolph's book.
Yes, it was.
Will
worked on this car. His dad, Will's dad, was an old midget racer way back when. And since Will was a friend of Elvis's and Elvis come across this midget car, it was just hand in hand that they worked on it. And Will told me that routinely he went to Graceland and got this car and took it back, fixed it and took it back to Elvis, and said his dad never charged Elvis a nickel to work on it. Never, not one time, you know. He was always blowing the rear end out and the transmission and of course wrecking it, as we know. So it's a wonder he didn't get hurt in it, because, you know, a 60 horsepower motor in this little car, it would run on. It'd run fast enough to get hurt.
Yeah,
that's right.
And the transmission that's in it, this 3-speed, is not what would be in it as a race car.
No, it would be an in and out box when it was a race car, just a 1 gear.
It's basically you put it in gear and go.
Yeah, go.
Like a golf cart.
Yeah, but since it was going to be used on the street, that you have to have a transmission and a clutch, you know.
But this is the real deal, friends, and I'm going to show you some photographs of Elvis in this car. And I read about it in Bardolph's book, Will McDaniel, and I had never heard of it before. And then I ran across a picture of it sitting in the driveway at the Audubon house, and I knew it was the real thing. I just had never known that I would ever actually see it.
Right.
And here it is, right here.
Here it is.
This is pretty incredible. And they have the steering wheel is being done, the seats being done, the windshield. They've still got a few things to put on it.
Yeah, we'd like about another month on it, probably finishing it up, detailing it.
And if you're seeing this video, it has already been unveiled at ElvisCon during Elvis Week. And so the video's coming out, of course, after that. But you guys have done an incredible job on this. It's just beautiful.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. It's been a joy building it.
And it's fun to do something that saves history.
Right.
You know, this is restoring something that was essentially gone, that was in a junkyard. Now tell us about that. It was in the junkyard.
Yep. It was in a salvage yard. The man had a lot of antique cars and stuff, and that's who he was going to fix it for Elvis, and it never got fixed. And it was actually shoved in the back of a '59 Ford station wagon with an old canvas over the back, and that's where it sat for years and years. There was a few people in Memphis that knew about it, but the man that owned it would not sell it. He passed it down to his son. His son wouldn't sell it, and finally he did 5 or 6 years ago, and then it changed hands one more time, and then that's who we're building for, the current owner. But it's never left the Memphis area, you know, and it's just been here ever since the day one it got wrecked.
And this car was shown at the 1960
Autorama car show here in Memphis at the Mid-South Fairgrounds. And the photographer that took the photos of it, he's been up here. He's 91 years old, Marshall Abilio, and he was with the Memphis Riders Street Ride Club, which always put on that show at the fairgrounds. And they needed some more cars that year, so someone in the club knew Elvis owned this car, so Elvis said, go get it and take it out there, so they did. So that's about the only picture we've got at the fairgrounds. And then there was another picture that popped up. There was a color photo. I have a private collection, and we've got it. So we've got the history behind it.
And there was a couple of Memphis Mafia members that were out there with the car.
Yeah, George Klein and Alan Fortas was, yep. And their name is on the placards that you'll see in the pictures there that's got all their names on it, who owned the car and whose it is now. And even down to the people that did the upholstery work on the car back in the day here in Memphis, you know.
That's
So
an
it's got a good history.
story.
It does. It's got an incredible story on it.
Amazing story. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, my friend.
Oh, glad
Let's go take a look at some of those pictures. Let's lock in the history of this. For any of you skeptics, and I know y'all are out there, we're going to lock in the history and show you that this, in fact, was Elvis's midget racer. Stay tuned.
Hey, yours.
Which one are you picking out, Bill?
That white one sitting out there. What's
up,
going
man?
on?
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, so let's go out there and take a look.
Okay, what
All
is
right. And this is Jimmy. He owns the place, and they restore these cars. They do incredible restorations, and I don't know if you've ever seen this car before or not, but this would have been close to your time. Okay.
Okay.
So can we pull I'm holding the camera, so I can't pull the cover off, but reveal this and let's see if this looks familiar.
We're going to bring back some memories for you.
Heck yeah, I was talking about this the other day. That's I showed a picture on Facebook not long ago, but yeah, that's his car.
Do you recall this car?
Heck yeah, that's the first race car I ever saw in my whole life.
And you race now, so.
Yeah, but he had it at Graceland, and he took it for a couple of laps around Graceland,
Yeah.
and then he got rid of it. Can I sit in it? I see it doesn't have a seat in it.
I've got a seat cushion.
Okay.
I'll give it for you.
Heck yeah.
I figured you'd
Yeah,
want
I
to see
had
this
seen
thing.
this. They call it an English racer. That's what this is called.
Midget racer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and Billy Smith were talking about this about 3 weeks ago because I was trying to find a picture of one.
Well,
now I got a
Hey, now you have the actual one.
Yeah. This is cool. It's okay to put my hands on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sure did.
Oh, yeah. Man, I've wanted to see this car since 1960.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember he driving it around. Somebody brought it out there, and they took it off the truck, and he just took, he was hauling around Graceland in this thing. Had a big old steering wheel on that thing.
Yeah.
Well, they say he hit a tree out there, right?
Yeah.
Do you recall him hitting the tree?
Remember that? He wrecked it more than once, I think.
Yeah.
Will McDaniels kind of told us the history on what he remembered, you know.
Mm-hmm.
In his book, there's a picture of it wrecked on a trailer. It looks like the back end's wrecked. When we got it, the front end was wrecked. But Will said that every time he got in it, he tore it up. Transmission blowing, rear end blowing.
Yeah, these things weren't the most reliable cars
No,
built back
pretty
then,
expensive.
but, this was the first race car I ever saw in my life. And when I saw it, that's when I knew it. Okay, that's it. I'm hooked.
So you would put your feet in the floor and
Yeah,
the cowling
it
that's
has a
going to be under.
floorboard and everything.
So that's where your feet
Yeah.
would go. They have it. They just don't have it on there yet.
Yeah.
That's the last piece. It's
Well, when you get it done, I would love to let me. I know where you're at now.
Yeah.
I'll come out here. Man, this is so cool.
We're gonna put the windshield on it. And,
I figured you'd want to see this. Billy.
Yeah. This is. I remember. I know it was like springtime or summer, and they brought it out to the house. He said, "Yeah, I'll take it for a few laps." And this thing is pretty quick.
we was talking about this, a 60 horse V8 in it for that little car.
Yeah, no weight to it at all. And so this thing, he run the heck out of it.
Man, God, I'm so glad you came out.
Yeah, this is it.
Somebody.
And I've been looking for this car. And because I tried to find pictures of it, and I couldn't find it anywhere.
How old were you at 60?
I was 7 years old.
So I have very good recollections of things from 7 years old.
Well,
Yeah.
me being a car guy that I
Yeah.
am, that was Elvis's nickname for me was Gearhead, because that's something that him and I both had a passion for, was race cars. And he said he had one, and I never saw it. And then he did those few laps out there, and then ever since then I've been trying to find this thing. Even Billy Smith said he couldn't find it. There's no pictures of this thing anywhere. So this is a first.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it so unique.
Yeah.
There's not, a lot of people don't believe it, didn't believe it.
So this is double history right here, Von Dutch and Elvis.
Well, 3 times really, since Solar Industries didn't make but 100 of them to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes it a rare car if you don't even attach the other names to it.
You ought to hear this little thing, man. It's loud.
Well, that's the only problem. We made it museum quality, so it won't run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like it will.
But isn't that funny that you remember that from that long ago?
It's hard to forget.
That's almost 60 years
when
ago.
You see him flying by, I was standing there at Graceland, and when he was just driving it, he was flying in this thing. And I was just going, wow. That's when I fell in love with race cars, because this is the first race car I ever saw.
Yeah. What do you remember? We kind of had to guess at the color. Was it a
It was
bright
red.
red? We know it was red. We just
The shade.
We was kind of hoping that we kind of picked the right red.
Yeah, it's fire engine red.
Okay, good. And there was a couple of things in the photos, and he'll show you photos we got up top.
Okay.
That we didn't know what it meant. These letters here in the photo we've got, the tailpipe covers the first 2 letters. So if you was at the right angle, you'd see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I just guessed at it. Nobody will ever know. So what I done, I put SI. We know the last 2 are RC. So SI stands for Solar Industries. And then there was a little emblem on the hood that you cannot make out. So we just went ahead and put Solar in there. I thought it needed the Solar name on it too.
Sure. I like you doing the EP special on there. That's nice.
And that was on there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Wait till you see the picture we got up there.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to go by to replicate. So none of this right here was by guess. We've got a picture up there that's the way it was in 1960.
Wow, you redid the whole thing, didn't you?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
And see, Will, he didn't know what the 31 meant on it.
I can't believe this.
He didn't know why it said 31.
Yeah, we don't know why the number. And
So that may have been the one that Von Dutch may have done that.
probably he was supposed to be the one that pinstriped. It says it on the
Yeah.
record in there.
So that may be his number
It
that
might
Von
be,
Dutch used.
right.
Uh-huh. Well, shoot, I don't want to go having to go change all my numbers on my cars now. So, I mean, Elvis would love this right now. I guarantee you, he would have a fit if he saw this thing right now. Like I am inside, I'm just freaking out.
It's got to be, man. It's 59 years ago that you saw this thing the last
Yeah.
time.
And he was running the dog. I mean, he would say, I'm going to go rawhide that thing. That's what he'd say. And that's what he did. He rawhide that thing.
Truck. We won best hot hauler with that.
Wow.
It's a high-end 58 of Chevy Apache. Come out super nice. It's got, of course, the Corvette motor and the aftermarket frame. And
Did you do digital dashboard and all
yeah,
that stuff?
Oh, yeah, tilt columns and all
Wow.
that.
That's amazing. She's all fixed up. Man, y'all do some amazing work here.
We appreciate it. We got a lot of practice.
Beautiful. That's good. That's what it takes. No substitute for experience. Hotel Chiska.
So, yeah, downtown Memphis.
That came from the real Chiska.
It did. It sure did.
Amazing. Elvis history, friends.
Yeah, Elvis history too.
There's Elvis sitting in it.
Yeah.
And then that's the display of it. Well, this is him at Audubon. You see it sitting in the driveway?
Uh-huh. That is so cool.
And this is the same day because he's wearing the same jacket, most likely. And then this is the display at the Autorama. And you see that sign says Alan Fortas and George Klein on it. This one does.
Mm-hmm.
See, it'd be neat to know where any of these signs are.
I know, my gosh.
They're somewhere.
Oh, my Lord.
You know, nobody threw them away.
Wow.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
And this guy took photographs of it. They had the guy that took this photograph here. He's 90, what do you say, he's 91, I think?
Yeah, something like that.
Yep, he's here, and he knew these girls. And so that's them in front of the car. And he actually wrote up Raymond Goodman wrote up about the car He's passed away since then, but he did give some information about it. That's the real deal, fellas.
You know what's crazy is when I was looking at the Fortis collection and I saw the pictures of the car before I saw the car.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what is this car? I've never seen this
Yeah.
before. And then it was like 2 weeks later it shows up and it's like, I have pictures of this car.
So how did you hear about it? Did he just contact you?
Bardall told
Bardall
me.
hooked
Yeah,
you
he
up?
said, you wanna go see it? And I said, yes.
So I wanted to point out a couple of things. One thing is this car would not have been possible if it had not been for John Daly of ElvisPawnShop.com. He provided photographs of this car so they could do the restoration as close to the original as possible. The other person I'd like to point out is Will Bardall McDaniel. Without his book, I would have never even heard of this car. And I mentioned in this story I'd heard it before, and I read it in his book. Will be at ElvisCon, and he will have books for sale with the story about this car in it. Make sure you stop by. It's ElvisCon, 3411 Elvis Presley Boulevard on the right at the Holiday Inn, August 12th through the 17th. Tighten up and be there. There's going to be a lot of celebs there and people you want to see. Bet you.